Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed speakers, and respected participants, on behalf of the Federal College of Education, Islamabad, I extend a warm welcome to all of you at the 3rd International Conference on Inclusive Academia and AI. We are delighted to have you with us for this 2-day educational symposium dedicated to innovation, inclusivity, and the future of education in the age of artificial intelligence. To formally commence the proceedings, I would now request everyone to please rise in respect for the national anthem of Pakistan. Thank you. Now, to seek the blessings of the Almighty, I invite Mr. Siraj Ahmad for the recitation from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. मैं अल्लाह की पनाह मांगता हूँ शैतान मरदूद से। शुरू अल्लाह के नाम से जो सब पर मेहरबान है, बहुत मेहरबान है। पढ़िए अपने परवरदिगार का नाम लेकर, जिसने सब कुछ पैदा किया। उसने इंसान को जमे हुए खून से पैदा किया है। पढ़िए और तुम्हारा परवरदिगार सबसे ज़्यादा करम वाला है, जिसने कलम से तालीम दी। इंसान को उस बात की तालीम दी जो वो नहीं जानता था। सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम।
पार्लिमानी सेक्रेटरी फरहानाज अकबर ने कहा है कि मस्नूई ज़हानत ने बच्चों के लिए तहकीक, मालूमात और रहनुमाई तक रसाई आसान बना दी है।
फेडरल कॉलेज ऑफ एजुकेशन में कॉन्फ्रेंस से खिताब करते उन्होंने कहा कि स्मार्ट क्लासरूम्स और ऑनलाइन लर्निंग के जरिए बच्चों की तालीम दिलचस्प और मौसर बनाई जा सकती है। दूसरे मुकर्रीन ने कहा कि पाकिस्तान में टेक्नोलॉजी के कई इदारे मौजूद हैं, ज़रूरत सिर्फ इस अमर की है कि बच्चों के लिए स्मार्ट क्लासरूम्स के क़याम को यकीनी बनाया जाए।
To seek the blessings of the Almighty, I invite Mr. Siraj Ahmad for the recitation from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون. نحن أولياؤكم في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة ولكم فيها ما تشتهي أنفسكم ولكم فيها ما تدعون. نزلا من غفور रहीम. मैं अल्लाह की पनाह मांगता हूँ शैतान मरदूद से। शुरू अल्लाह के नाम से जो सब पर मेहरबान है, बहुत मेहरबान है। जिन लोगों ने कहा कि हमारा रब अल्लाह है, फिर वो इस पर साबित कदम रहे, तो उन पर बेशक फरिश्ते ये कहते हुए उतरेंगे कि न कोई खौफ दिल में लाओ, न किसी बात का गम करो, और उस जन्नत से खुश हो जाओ जिसका तुमसे वादा किया जाता था। हम दुनिया वाली ज़िंदगी में भी तुम्हारे साथी थे और आखिरत में भी रहेंगे, और इस जन्नत में हर वो चीज़ तुम्हारे ही लिए है जिसको तुम्हारा दिल चाहे, और इसमें हर वो चीज़ तुम्हारे ही लिए है जो तुम मंगवाना चाहो। ये सब कुछ उस ज़ात की तरफ से पहली पहली मेज़बानी है जिसकी बख्शिश भी बहुत है, जिसकी रहमत भी कामिल। सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed speakers and respected participants, on behalf of the Federal College of Education, Islamabad, I warmly welcome you to the second day of the third International Conference on Inclusive Academia and AI. After a productive first day, we continue today's journey, exploring innovation, inclusivity, and the transformative role of artificial intelligence in education. To formally commence the proceedings, I would now request everyone to please rise in respect for the national anthem of Pakistan. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Maureen Manning, an international trainer, presenter, and keynote speaker with extensive work in global education and professional development, to deliver the second keynote address for the day.
Greetings, distinguished colleagues. My name is Dr. Maureen Manning, the founder of the Global Nexus Collective, and it's an honor to address the third International Conference on Inclusive Academia and Artificial Intelligence. This year's theme requires a rigorous examination of how educational systems and the technology that powers them are reshaping academic practices. My purpose in this keynote is to synthesize evidence and theory across these domains and to propose design principles that preserve equity and educational integrity while advancing innovative modes of practice that artificial intelligence can support. My thoughts today will be grounded in my specific field of research and practice, which is international education, and I'll be grounding my reflections in one of its foundational theories, experiential learning. In considering ways in which AI intersects with academic practices in international education, we must first revisit the pedagogical foundations upon which inclusive global education is built. Drawing on Kolb's learning cycle, students move through concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation. When study abroad, undergraduate research, community-engaged coursework, and internships are all designed with clear outcomes and structured reflection, students do more than just acquire knowledge. They apply it in contexts that are both culturally diverse and consequential. Research on high-impact practices identifies experiential learning as a catalyst for persistence, deep learning, and strong post-graduation outcomes. Mesereau's work on transformative learning helps explain why. Disorienting dilemmas encountered in unfamiliar environments can prompt perspective transformation that's seldom realized through classroom discussion alone. To be credibly inclusive, access to these opportunities must be diversified through multiple pathways: physical mobility, local immersion, and technology. So if experiential learning provides the theoretical foundation, the next question is, what evidence demonstrates its tangible value? The return on investment discourse has thus intensified. Stakeholders are asking for demonstrable outcomes. A recent analysis by the Forum on Education Abroad is telling. Graduates who studied abroad earned, on average, over $4,000 more than peers who did not. This finding addresses cost concerns with evidence that education abroad is not merely enriching, it's economically significant. But financial return is, of course, not the only relevant metric. Research on global learning outcomes shows gains in intercultural competence, collaborative problem solving, adaptability, and civic engagement abound. These are all forms of human, social, and cultural capital that matter for employability. A multidimensional ROI framework must therefore include economic, academic, civic, and humanistic indicators. And ROI is not only about measurement, it's also about preparing students for the realities of professional practice. And that's where work integrated learning comes in. Work integrated learning aligns curriculum with professional practice through internships, practicums, applied research, and entrepreneurial projects. And when mentorship and reflection are also integrated, students more readily move from passive acquisition of knowledge to active generation of solutions valued by external stakeholders. They begin to form professional identities, negotiate norms, and in global teams, manage linguistic differences and organizational diversity. Yet we can't talk about professional practice today without also acknowledging that much of it is already mediated by artificial intelligence. AI now permeates knowledge economies. Unlike prior media that merely transmitted information, AI systems generate outputs that approximate analysis, synthesis, and judgment. This invites both opportunity and caution. With international pedagogical frameworks, AI can scaffold, translate, summarize, and adapt, broadening participation and reducing logistical barriers. Without such frameworks, AI can amplify bias, obscure authorship, and weaken the very capacities that higher education seeks to cultivate. Numerous scholar practitioners have therefore called for pedagogy-driven integration. Students must learn with IA and about AI at the same time. Student international opportunities expand even further when AI is paired with international global collaboration, exemplified by Collaborative Online International Learning, or COIL. COIL links classrooms across borders for shared inquiry and production. And scholarship has moved global learning from enrichment to integrative program design. The emphasis is on intentionality, inclusion, and alignment with degree-level outcomes. AI can support COIL in practical ways: translation to reduce language barriers, scheduling tools to bridge time zones, and retrieval-augmented search to level access to knowledge resources. To see these principles in practice, let's look at the International Internship Network. As the chair of the board for the network, I see daily how institutions, employers, and students construct internships with clear outcomes, appropriate supervision, and structured reflection. This network provides effective proving ground for AI in practice. At a recent IIN conference this June, the central theme revolved around AI, and the annual debate at the conference was entitled Human versus Machine. One perspective emphasized efficiency, scalability, and access. Another warned of risks eroding mentorship, biased systems, and displaced judgment. The debate's true value, however, was not in the verdict, but rather in reframing the guiding question from whether to use AI to how to integrate AI responsibly. And that reframing brings us to the core issue: equity and inclusion. Digital access remains uneven. Students differ in bandwidth, device quality, and collaboration spaces, and much more. Data sets may underrepresent communities, perpetuating injustices in knowledge representation. Institutions vary in resources for tools and faculty development. These structures shape who benefits from AI-enabled experiential learning. Principles for more inclusive design include transparency. Students must know when and why AI is incorporated. Alternatives. Viable paths must exist for those who are unable to use these tools. Accessibility. Materials must meet standards and work on common devices. Bias awareness. Verification and triangulation must be taught. Assessment integrity. Evaluation should focus on student learning, not the tool's output. When equity is addressed, the ROI narrative itself can be reconceptualized. Economic signals such as salaries matter. Academic outcomes such as persistence matter. Civic outcomes like intercultural empathy matter. and the cultivation of identity and ethical reasoning remains central to the mission of higher education. As such, only a comprehensive ROI framework can guide equitable policy and program design. But such a framework requires institutional commitment and leadership. Progress requires will and infrastructure. 5 imperatives stand out: governance, faculty development, policy, infrastructure, and rigorous assessment. Together, they anchor AI-enabled experiential learning and inclusive design. To sustain momentum, we must also pursue a forward-thinking research agenda. Yet questions remain. How do AI-supported COIL projects compare with traditional ones? What methods best identify bias in matching algorithms? Which reflective practices most consistently build adaptability and ethical reasoning? And how do funding models shape equity of participation? These are questions for multi-institutional mixed method open inquiry. And taken together, these insights converge on a larger truth about higher education. Experiential learning equips students with adaptive expertise, skills that allow them to navigate uncertainty with confidence. Work-integrated learning ensures that this expertise is not abstract, but rather rooted in professional practice and lived application. Artificial intelligence, when guided by sound pedagogy and ethical guardrails, has the potential to expand this access and deepen engagement in ways previously unimaginable. Collaborative online international learning provides one blueprint for how intentional design can bring students together across borders. Associations such as the Forum on Education Abroad and the International Internship Network remind us that scaling these ideas requires both structure and vision. And the spirited debates within our field remind us that progress is never linear. It demands both energy and caution, both innovation and restraint. And as we look forward, one truth is clear. The future of learning is global, hybrid, and digitally mediated. But the future of higher education we must insist upon is not defined only by technology. It must remain equitable, humane, and anchored in principles that safeguard both knowledge and justice. Thank you. I wish you tremendous success in your 2025 annual conference.
Now, I have the honour of inviting Dr. Naeem Syed, President of ICARA and Assistant Vice President at the University of Connecticut, to present his keynote address.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I am Dr. Naeem Syed, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today. A little bit about myself. I bring over 17 years of experience in education and technology, having served in leadership roles in the University of Connecticut in US, many US-based educational organizations, and that includes about 10 years for the Department of Education in the US as curriculum builder. And I've worked on various programs during that experience. During that time, my focus has been to integrate adaptive learning. This also includes project-based instructions and advanced digital tools to improve how we teach and learn and help our students to gain knowledge. With that perspective, I'd like to talk to you today about how teaching is not just about tools or techniques. It is a process. And when we understand that process, we can see how technologies, especially like the new word called AI or artificial intelligence, are transforming education in a very profound ways. At first, throughout our career, we have seen teaching was simple. A teacher stood at the front of the class and explained concepts to a group of students. Over time, new tools entered the classroom. You must have heard the names of overhead projectors. Smart boards came in after. Then we used tablets and computers, and so on. Each of these tools made teaching easier, and in many ways, they improved the classroom experience for students. But notice something important here. All of these tools were designed primarily to help the teacher deliver lessons. The process itself, the way students actually learn, didn't change very much. And these tools did not help the students how to learn. They were basically how to deliver the content. Now there's a shift that has happened. We have this artificial intelligence, and it has suddenly changed the focus. Unlike earlier tools, AI helps the student directly. Students now have instant access to information, far beyond what a single teacher could provide them. They are no longer fully dependent on the teacher to be the gatekeeper of knowledge. As a result, teacher's role is evolving now from being a sage of the stage to being a facilitator or a guide or someone who helps students evaluate, apply, and make meaning out of the information that they achieve through AI. So what do I mean when I say teaching is a process? It is not random. It follows a sequence, and there are 3 essential steps in it. Step 1, content delivery. Well, in that step, a knowledge is shared. But we know that not every child learns in the same manner. Students learn differently. Some learn by reading, others by watching, and some of them learn by hands-on practice. That's a step number 1. It's called differentiated instructions. You deliver the lessons the way the students are able to learn through. The second step is assessments. We need to evaluate what students learned. This comes through formative assessments, which is check-in along the way. You teach them a topic, and then you ask them some questions to determine if they learned it or not. And the second is summative assessments, which is at the end of any unit, chapter, or whatever way that you have divided your curriculum. Without assessment, we cannot know if the learning has really taken place. It's very important. When we take an exam at the end of the month and grade the students with 60%, 70% grades, that is after the fact. You have already determined, and the student is trying to tell you how much he has learned or she has learned. It is not the assessment. So please make sure that you mark that distinction. Step number 3 is called intervention. Based on the assessment results, we step in where needed. Maybe the student didn't understand the key idea of the lesson. Maybe they need more practice. An intervention ensures that these gaps are closed. These 3 steps, delivery, assessment, and intervention, are the backbone of teaching process. Think of it like a chef preparing a dish. A chef may have the same ingredients as everyone else, but it's the process, how the ingredients are combined, in what sequence, with what care. What determines whether the dish is average or exceptional? Teaching is the same. You can have the same curriculum, the same textbook. even the same technology, but the outcome depends on how well the process is carried out. So as we embrace AI and other inventions in education, let's remember technology is not the process. It is the tool within the process. True teaching requires us to deliver knowledge thoughtfully, assess learning carefully, and intervene meaningfully. If we follow this process, then no matter how technology evolves, we will always achieve what matters most. That is, helping students not just to be taught, but truly learn. Well, thank you very much for your time. I hope I've been able to pass my information or my knowledge to you folks in a very limited time. And I hope to meet you again at some point in our lives. Thank you again.
Now, I have the honour of inviting Dr. Janet Syed, Director of Academic at IKERA and former faculty at Merrimack College, to present her keynote address.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Janet, and I've spent over a decade in public education and more than 5 years developing interactive online pedagogy. In my role as director at Merrimack College, I work with faculty and instructional designers to bring innovation into classrooms, both online and face-to-face. My passion lies in supporting teachers and students by introducing approaches that make learning more effective, more engaging, and more equitable. Today I want to explore how artificial intelligence is transforming the educational landscape, not just as a technical tool, but as a force reshaping how knowledge is accessed, how learning is assessed, and how interventions are delivered. Since the 1950s, AI has been a vision of machines replicating human intelligence, but only in recent years have advances in computing power and data processing made that vision real. AI now influences everyday life, from smartphones to drive assist cars, and education is no exception. The rise of large language models and generative AI tools has brought us to a turning point. For the first time, students and educators can interact with systems that not only provide information, but also generate explanations, simulate learning scenarios, and adapt to individual needs in real time. AI is transforming. At the heart of this transformation is personalization. AI platforms analyze student performance data, everything from quiz results to participation patterns, to identifying strengths and weaknesses. They then recommend targeted resources, adaptive quizzes, or practice exercises that are tailored to each and every learner. This creates learning experiences that meet students where they are, instead of forcing them to keep pace with a single standard. A fast learner can accelerate without waiting, while the struggling student receives the timely support that they need. By continuously adjusting, AI makes the promise of individualized education achievable, and achievable at scale. AI is also enabling more immersive, hands-on learning. Virtual and augmented reality combined with AI engines can create interactive environments where students can explore complex concepts by doing it rather than just listening. In science, this could mean conducting a simulated experiment. In history, it could mean exploring a virtual reconstruction of an ancient city. These environments give students practical exposure to scenarios that once were limited to textbooks. They not only improve comprehension, but also nurture critical thinking and problem-solving skills. And how exciting that is. One of the most significant changes AI introduces is in assessment. Instead of relying on exams at the end of a unit, AI allows us to measure understanding continuously. As students progress through content, AI systems can identify misconceptions in real time. Teachers can receive actionable insights, immediately enabling them to intervene before gaps widen. This creates a cycle: deliver knowledge, assess as learning happens, and then intervene with tailored support. It is a responsive process that adapts to students' needs and ensures learning is reinforced at every step. Generative AI, especially large language models, adds another layer to this transformation. These models are trained on massive data sets and can summarize complex information, generate practice problems, or even simulate debates and real classroom discussions. Students can ask a model to explain a concept in simpler terms, draft study notes, or provide instant feedback on an essay. Educators can use them to create learning materials, design assessments, or explore new pedagogical instructional strategies. But their true value lies not in replacing human teaching, but in augmenting it, enhancing it, helping teachers extend their reach and helping students engage more deeply with knowledge. The opportunities AI offers are extraordinary. It can democratize education, making quality learning accessible regardless of geography. It can free teachers from repetitive administrative tasks, allowing them to focus on mentoring and creativity. It can create classrooms where every learner feels supported and seen and heard. Yet challenges remain. AI systems can reflect the biases in the data on which they are trained, raising concerns of fairness. Access to AI is uneven, with some schools and regions having far greater resources than others. There are also ethical questions about privacy, security, and accountability. And we must guard against over-reliance, ensuring that students still learn to question, analyze, and think critically rather than blindly accept AI's outputs. Looking to the future, we can imagine two models of AI in education. In an AI-assisted model, teachers continue to lead, but AI enriches every step, delivering content, checking progress, suggesting interventions. In an AI-integrated model, AI becomes embedded into the very fabric of the curricula, shortening learning cycles, personalizing entire pathways, and expanding access worldwide. Whichever direction we take, one thing is certain: AI will not leave education as it found it. It is not just another tool, it's a catalyst for rethinking how we prepare students for the challenges of a fast-changing world. In closing, artificial intelligence is redefining the educational landscape. It personalizes learning, creates immersive learning experiences, enables real-time assessment, and supports both teachers and students in very new and powerful ways. The challenge for us as educators is not whether AI will transform learning. It already is. The challenge is how we harness it responsibly, equitably, and creatively, ensuring that while machines may guide the process, it is still humans, teachers and students together, who give learning its meaning. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Have a wonderful day.